Season 2, Channels Killed the Internet Video Star. I'm going to start by introducing our panelists briefly and talking about the topic. Then I'll have some questions for them. They'll have some answers. And then after that, we will be taking questions from the audience. This is a discussion panel. As I said, my name is Christian Sandvig. I'm a professor of media studies at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and faculty associated at the Berkman Center for Internet and Society at Harvard. Starting immediately on my left, we have Matt Harding. Matt Harding, better known as, I believe in your own website, quote, dancing badly around the world, Matt, was the phrase there. So, yeah, Matt Harding from Where the Hell is Matt produces dance videos that originally became popular by circulating on email. He has his own website, Where the Hell is Matt, that became popular before the launch of the major video upload sites. Let's welcome him. I mean, you guys are kind of tired or something. This is Where the Hell is Matt. So we have to take this seriously. All right, so then one more to my left. I'd like to welcome Judson Laipply. That's from The Evolution of Dance, Judson Laipply, whose 2006 YouTube performance made 70 million views in the first 8 months, was rated the #1 most viewed video on the internet, and the #1 top rated video on YouTube. And that was a video of his earlier 2001 performance, The Evolution of Dance. And then finally, on his left, we have Liam Kyle Sullivan. Liam started making video in 2004. He was previously a star of the VH1 show I Hate My 30s. And then he won the 2008 People's Choice Award for a video of his character Kelly called Shoes, which some of you may have seen, yes, which I just saw in his promotional material. Received 41 million views, and the album that he made from it, it gets people excited. The album that he made for it hit 300,000 sales on iTunes. Unfortunately, we are not going to be joined by Deshawn, who canceled at the last minute. So I know Super Hot is not a rapper. All right, no one's watching Deshawn, I guess. That's a Deshawn reference. All right, thanks. All right, one person. All right, thank you very much. So our topic today is Channels Killed the Internet Video Star, because we have here in front of you something like internet video royalty. We have people who have succeeded wildly in this area of online video, but the area itself seems to be changing a lot. Just on Wednesday, for example, YouTube at the Digital Content New Fronts event on Wednesday announced that they're increasing their investment in producing their own videos. So earlier this year, they said they're going to spend $100 million on producing original content. Now they say $200 million on original content. And the idea, if you're not familiar with it, it works a little bit like this. They're going to have these things that they call channels. They're going to hire people like Dakota Fanning and Rainn Wilson, and then they're going to make these serial video entertainments that they're going to show that are going to be paid for by companies like AT&T and General Motors. Now, it seems like 2012, YouTube has invented television. That is what they have invented. But we have here an earlier style of video on the internet represented, and we're going to talk about the way that online video and fame seems to be changing from its earlier incarnation until what we have in the present. So I'd like to start by just asking the panelists to reflect on their discovery moment. Can you tell us briefly what happened when you realized that something was going on with your video?
Should I start?
Go for it.
For me, it happened, I know it's all just variations on a theme. There's really one story here. My version of it was 2005. Somebody was telling me about this site called YouTube, and I went onto it, and I'd uploaded my video. I'd put the video on my website, which didn't really do anything. It's just a video that sits there in 2003, 2004. But in 2005, it had gotten uploaded onto YouTube, and I went and I checked it out and found that it had 650,000 views. And it was uploaded by a guy using my name. And in the comments, it had a little thing that said, if you want to support my videos, send money to matt.harding@paypal.com. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. I don't remember doing that. And my girlfriend's dad got really pissed about it, and he tracked down the guy's email address, found me as guidance counselor, actually, and gave me his email address. This is a 15-year-old kid. And I wrote to him, and I said, I don't know who you are, but you're not me. You gotta knock this off. And he wrote back to me, and he said, I have made $235 in donations from uploading your video. I'm willing to cut you in on 5% of it. And so that was a very early incarnation. It was the first video I did where I was on a backpacking trip around the world, dancing in about 17 countries, and didn't think it would be interesting to anyone. Discovered that it was, and that was the moment where I thought, man, I really got to get a handle on this, because this is a lot of fun. I like doing it. It sure beats working. And if I don't keep control over my work, this is going to happen. So that was the big pivotal moment for me, and I haven't had a job since. So I've been able to do this for 7 years. It's been great.
So for me, I give you a little bit of tiny background. So I work as a professional speaker. I knew I wanted to be a professional speaker in high school, and kind of continued working that way as I went to undergraduate and graduate school. And while I started my career as a speaker, a very good friend of mine who had been doing it for a long time said, listen, when you work in our field, you have to do something that nobody else does. You have to have a hook. It's the same thing in the comedy world. It's the same thing in the music world. You have that one thing that makes you memorable versus everyone else that they might happen to see that does the same thing you do. So I was trying to figure out a way to do that in my program that went along with the theme that I talk about, which is change. I talk a lot about change, and came up with the idea one day to do this thing called the evolution of dance. Thought I was watching a black comic make fun of white people dancing at a wedding, was how the idea came to fruition. He had this whole great bit about how he went to a wedding. There was no other non-white person there at all except for him. And he said about every fourth or fifth song, everyone in the whole wedding would get up, walk over to the dance floor, do a dance, the same dance as everyone else was doing. When the song ended, they would just kind of drop their arms, walk back to the tables, and sit back down. And he said this happened 4 or 5 times over the course of the night. So we started laughing about how many songs have very specific dances. And I was like, oh, it's funny. And I was like, God, it'd be funny to see some of those in medley. And I was like, holy shit, that'd be funny to see some of those in order. And I ran upstairs to my room, I wrote down the name Evolution of Dance, and I threw together, I learned how to mix music online, threw it together and went out and performed it one night in front of a live audience, and it went over extremely, extremely well. And fortunately, this was in 2001, 2002 timeframe, before nobody took a video of it, nobody uploaded it at that point in time. You know, you didn't see anybody doing that. So I continued to do the dance for about another 4 years, and continued to get better at doing the dance. Because the very first one, had that been put up on YouTube, would not have been a viral sensation, except for the fact that it was really, really bad. And so then I put the video up eventually, and then my kind of holy shit moment came over the course of a weekend that I was in San Francisco doing an unplugged conference for some high school leadership development, which meant we went to a retreat, a campground, no internet, no cell phones, no nothing. And when I left on Friday morning, I had about 90,000 views on my video, which I was totally floored by. And when I got back out on Sunday, my voicemail box was completely full. I had hundreds of emails, and it had jumped from 90 to 500,000 in about a day and a half, including some of my friends who actually forwarded me the video, saying, you should see this video, not knowing that it was me in the video. And that's when I was kind of like, wow, there's something is going on here.
What happened? I didn't know about YouTube. I was an actor in Los Angeles. I had done some commercials and some small television roles. And I started writing things on my own. I was doing a lot of sketch comedy in LA. live, and I started shooting things, and I started writing sketches that I could film, and then I put them on my website. You know, that's what you did, just to try to put myself out there in some way. And then, yeah, YouTube was invented. So I guess in early 2006, I still didn't know what it was. I was not an online person at all. And somebody said, you know that video shoes that you did? It's got like 1 million views on this site YouTube. And I was like, what? And someone had taken my video, like with Matt, what happened with Matt, they took it off my website and put it on YouTube, and it just took off. And this was before Google and YouTube teamed up and did revenue sharing, where you could, you know, make money off your videos. So I didn't care. I was like, oh, that's great. I'm getting out there. That's fantastic. And then after a while, I realized, oh, I should make my own channel. And I did that, and I put the video up myself, and I had another video of muffins back then too, and that had the same, oh, thanks. That had the same life, like a kid in Mexico, I think, put it up. And that's how I found out about YouTube. You know, it was a complete shock, and I'm still like, what?
So we have the story of the involuntary upload in 2 of these. We have Matt impersonated by a 15-year-old, and Judson mistaken for another performer by his own friends. Well, what about the second part of this, and that's sort of the business side? I mean, Liam, you were just mentioning revenue sharing. Is the panel willing to speak to what happened on this side? I mean, are you all pros now? Do you have agents?
Well, for me, there was a phase in between revenue sharing and, holy crap, somebody's uploaded my video to YouTube. There was the sort of brand sponsorship period. Before, when I was doing the bulk of the work that ended up becoming my work, it was in this period where YouTube had taken off. Everybody wanted a piece of it, you know, brands, companies, but nobody quite knew how. And Google hadn't gotten their act together yet with a viable system for monetizing your videos. So the first company that came to me really was Stride. And looking back at it now, having dealt with a whole bunch of companies, it was kind of 1 in 1,000 to have a company like Stride come to me and say, we really like what you do, we want you to do it again for us, and we're not going to change anything about it. Every company will say that, but very, very few sincerely mean it. So I was really lucky to have Stride come along, give me a bunch of money to go travel the world for 6 months, do whatever I wanted to do. They didn't know where I was. They didn't seem to care. They just gave me a date that I had to have the video done by. And so I made the best video I could, and that worked out really well. That was 2006, and then I was able to do it again with them in 2008.
They didn't offer to pay you only in their products or anything like that?
No, and they didn't make me wear t-shirts or chew gum or anything like that. But something's really changed. Around the time that the monetization went into place, I think if you go into these companies now, and I don't know if you have meetings ever with sponsors, they have a social media department, and there's always a social media guru person there at these companies. They have people who are supposed to understand this now. Yeah. And so when I walk in there, it's very, very different. But at the same time, this new branch of it has occurred where you can create your own content, own your own content. You don't need someone to pay you to do it. You can do it and get your audience to generate the revenue for you. So that's new. I mean, I haven't really been working in this era that we're in. I haven't done a video in 4 years. But you guys can maybe speak to it more.
And yet, aren't you the one who said you didn't work again?
Okay, so what? Yeah, what ended up happening for me is this endorsement stuff has happened. Like Visa, after the last video I did in 2008, Visa saw it, and Visa said, "Oh, that works." And apparently they focus tested it, showed it to a bunch of people, got a good response, and so they just said, "Hey, we want to do what you're doing, and we figure we should have you do it." So they brought me out, and apparently if you're in China or Korea or India or whatever, you can't watch TV without seeing me do this and hold a Visa card at the end. So I did that, and that meant that I didn't have to work. And I was able to fund the video, which I've just finished making now, without any need for a sponsor or anything, because Visa sort of unknowingly sponsored my video, which has been awesome.
We'd like you to consider doing that dance with people after the panel so they can take their pictures with you.
Sure.